Hey, this is Jamey from Stonemaier Games, and today I'm going to talk about my favorite mechanism in the 3 to 6 player cooperative game, Sink or Swim. I tried this the other day with 4 players and I had a lot of fun playing it. In this game, over the course of 5 rounds, essentially, you are going to be playing cards in real time, face down on the table with the other players to create a synchronized swimming routine. The way this works is that each player has a tile like this. It's numbered 1 through 5 because there are 5 rounds. And in the first round, similar to games like The Crew or games that ramp up like Wizard or Skull King, in the first round, each player gets 2 cards and you are given a little bit of a puzzle. So you're given a little puzzle for the first part of the routine. And that first part might be that you need to play the same color card. That was the goal that we had in our game, actually. We all had to play the same color card in that slot. And we each have, in that instance, we have 2 cards. They look like these. There's some wild cards. They're different colors, different numbers. So we each have our own private hand of cards. We have 2 cards. And we all have to, in real time, play one of those cards face down on this slot. Then tell the timer, hey, we made it. We made it in time. There's a countdown timer on an app in this game. And then we all reveal those cards to make sure that we put the right color there. So say we had that goal, get the same color. We all say, and we're talking freely at this point of the game, and we all decide that blue is the color that we're going to play. So we all have a check to see, and if we all have a blue card on slot 1, then we have succeeded at that part of the routine. We're kind of warming up for the full routine. Shuffle all the cards back together and move to round 2, where we have the same goal on round 1. We know that we need the same color there. And in round 2, we have a new random goal that goes there. And in this case, say the goal is, I think in our game it was to have, it got a little complex at one point, but there was one goal that said have a card that is either 9 or higher, or a card that is 2 or lower on the 2 slot. And again, each player is dealt a certain number of cards. The app will tell you how many cards you get. And you start the timer again, and you put the card, and then you start to put cards down. So you can put them in the 1 or the 2 slot. It doesn't really matter the order, as long as you are openly talking, but closed-handedly putting the cards down. You're putting them down face down. And then when the timer stops, you need to make sure that everyone has the same color card under 1, and then under 2, everyone has a card that is either 9 or higher or 2 or less. And along the way while this is happening, because it seems like there might be a little bit of luck of the draw here, you're only getting a certain number of cards, you can pass cards to other players, and you can also discard 2 cards to draw another card. We didn't have to do a lot of the drawing, but we did a lot of passing. It felt very cooperative in real time to say, okay, we've decided that blue is the color that we all need. I have a bunch of blue cards. You have no blue cards, so I'm going to pass a blue card to you so you can make that happen. Again, this is all happening in real time, and with 4 players, there's a lot of talking. We're going back and forth. It gets more frantic than you think. It's a little weird of a game to describe because the real time made the game very stressful. And what we ended up doing is essentially ignoring the timer. We tried to complete it really, really fast. And I almost wish the timer had counted up instead of counted down. I'm criticizing the game a little bit for that reason. I don't mean to review or criticize the game because overall, I really liked this method of ramping up to a full routine. I like that we had one simple goal, fewer cards to achieve that goal, and once we know it, we get to move on to round 2. And so by the time we got to round 5, we had 5 different goals. We also had a little twist happening too, that the game threw a twist at us. And we had to get this full routine within a limited amount of time. And that felt really good to do. And by then we had this really nice flow in the game where we were talking, we were passing, we kind of had a shared mental space, kind of like in The Mind. This is a little bit of a game like The Mind that it ramps up. But I think the key that I'm taking a while to get to, because I felt like I need to describe the game, is that this does ramp up and that it's limited. You're not ramping up to a much bigger number, or in The Crew, it's essentially, it's 50 missions. It's a lot of missions. But here, you can sit down and play this in a very concise amount of time and feel like you completed something. You have completed the routine after the 5 rounds, or 6. Our game had 6 rounds because one round had this twist to it. But I like that it was this ramping element within a concise format, which games like Skull King and Wizard do. The Mind does that to a certain extent as well. In The Mind, you're kind of playing until you lose, whereas here you're playing until you finish the routine, even though you might mess up along the way, and that might add time to your next routine. The game actually makes it a little bit easier for you to complete routines as you don't complete them. So I really like all that. I think I just wish a little bit that the timer counted up instead of down. So we still felt that time pressure, and we still have this frantic table talk. We have opportunities to mess up, but that the time pressure in the game was very tight, which made us want to ignore it and just go ahead with the frantic game pace. Again, though, I like this how it scales up over the course of the round, and that a round is self-enclosed within around 5 or 6 turns. I might have said round there. A game itself is self-enclosed within 5 or 6 rounds. Yeah, so that is Sink or Swim. I've rambled a little bit longer than I should have about a fairly simple game here, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below if you've played it, or if you can think of other games like this that have that ramping element, but within a self-enclosed space, or a pretty tight self-enclosed space. Again, Wizard and Skull King have it, but that's over typically around 10 to 14 rounds in those games. Yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Thanks.